The Surrey Support Plan brings together a record of all the support for a child in one place. It should be used in conjunction with the Surrey Graduated Response document, which you can find on the local offer website. It includes a summary of needs and outcomes and targets linked to assessments, so there is no need to complete other versions of an individual support plan. You should start a Surrey Support Plan as soon as you identify that a child may need additional support. It's been designed to support you to follow a graduated response and provides a record of your cycles of assess, plan, do, review. The plan is a working document that will evolve over a period of time. It's the document you'll need if you wish to apply for early intervention funding and if you need to request an education, health and care needs assessment, so it's a really good idea to keep it updated as you go along. So let's get started to see how best to fill it in. On the first page, you'll need to complete the child's name, date of birth and the date that you started the plan. This is the date that you agreed to implement some additional or targeted support for the child, which has been agreed in consultation with parents. This page captures the basic personal information about the child. Do make sure that you complete the child's GP address, including county, as the location can have an impact on where you make future health referrals. When indicating the child's year group, 0 refers to reception, -1 to the child's preschool year, and -2 and -3 to the years before that. Please make sure that you complete the questions about early help and children's services with a yes or no. A one-page profile is a simple summary of what is important to a child and how they want to be supported. It should provide any adult supporting the child with an overview of how to offer person-centred support. You should write this in the child's voice, for example with sentences starting I can or I need. In the guidance, you'll see some prompt questions for you to consider, written in blue. Please do try to upload a photo, as this makes this page more personal. Some settings have their own version of an All About Me page, so feel free to insert that if you already have one. Going forward, you might like to consider using this one-page profile template for all your children to complete on entry to the setting. The developmental tracker captures the attainment and progress of the child in the 3 prime areas. Make sure that you complete the key at the same time as the tracker. Choose a colour for your first assessment and colour the relevant boxes to reflect the child's level of development. Please also remember to add the date that the tracker started and the child's age at that time in months. To update the tracker, use a different colour to show the child's next assessment and update the key using the same colour. If a child has a mixed profile within an area of learning and development, your tracker should reflect the particular area in which the child needs most support. Additional assessment tools are hyperlinked on this page. These should be used if a child is not at the expected level or if progress is less than anticipated, as they can help to further unpick areas of need. This page identifies the child's strengths and needs and is an important record of how these needs change over time. It also captures the levels of support that you've provided and continue to provide as the child moves through the graduated response. It's really important to refer to the graduated response document when completing this page and will make it much easier for you. You should first complete this page when starting the Surrey Support Plan and then review it when there are significant changes for the child, such as moving to a different room, input from a specialist, a major change at home, or a diagnosis. You don't need to update the page every time you review a child's targets, but it's likely it will be reviewed a few times a year. You can use bullet points to give the information under each subheading. If you've used a teaching talking profile or early language assessment, you can summarise the key findings. You'll also want to add summaries from any health or education professional reports and make sure you note when any diagnosis is given. It's important that each entry is clearly dated and a different colour is used to reflect this. You can see an example of this in the guidance. Remember, this is an holistic overview of the child, so please detail if there are any concerns at home which impact on the child's learning and well-being. The Effective Family Resilience in Surrey document is a useful reference. You'll also see a box asking about the level of support the child is at. Remember to use a graduated response profile of need to see which level best describes the child in each of the 4 areas. Put the date at the point you think the child has moved to a different level of support. Remember, a child may already be at specialist support level when they start with your setting. To help you identify appropriate interventions and strategies, you can use the Interventions and Support section of the graduated response document to guide you. This can also help you to plan next steps. Remember to consider the needs of the child in the context of the whole family. Could a next step include a referral that would help the parents to support the child at home, for example? If you're supporting the child at setting support, but little or no progress is being made, you'll need to refer to health, education, or other professionals for specialist support. This page helps you record the referral details. Please make sure that you note the date of referral and the one-stop reference number if applicable. There will be occasions when other professionals have made the referral, for example following a 27-month check. If possible, these details should also be recorded in this section. As and when other professionals become involved, make sure that you add their details to the specialist support section. The Outcomes and Targets pages are where you can record the details of all the support strategies and interventions as part of the Assess, Plan, Do, Review cycle. Each time you complete a new set of targets, remember to highlight the relevant level of support at the top of the page. If a child has a mixed profile of need, highlight the level that reflects the highest need. For example, a child may be at universal support in cognition and learning, but at specialist support for their communication, so you'd need to highlight specialist support. Start with the intended outcome, which is the longer-term goal for the child. You probably won't change the outcome each time you review the specific targets, as the targets are the small steps to help the child reach the outcome. Targets, which need to be short, specific and measurable, should be reviewed every 6 to 8 weeks. They should incorporate any advice given by specialists involved in supporting the child. When you come to review the targets, highlight if they've been achieved, partially achieved, or not achieved. Only state that a target has been achieved if it's been seen consistently. Use the professional reports to help you identify appropriate actions and strategies to include in your cycle. These might need to be adjusted so that they're achievable within your setting. Review dates should be organised so that parents can be involved with the process, and parents' comments should be added in the review section. All settings are expected to allocate resources and staff to support inclusion. When a child has more complex or persistent needs, settings can apply for early intervention funding, or EIF, to enhance the staffing ratio, though it's important to note this is not intended to cover full costs of a one-to-one practitioner. You can apply for EIF only if the child is eligible for funded early education, i.e. fee or FEET. If applying for EIF, you will need to complete the application page on the Surrey Support Plan, as well as a separate EIF application form, which can be found on the local offer website. You'll need to submit both of these together to the multi-professional EIF panel, which meets monthly. Applications need to be submitted 2 weeks before the panel date. All dates and contact details for submission can be found on the EIF application form. The level of EIF is awarded according to the child's needs. Therefore, the level of provision you intend to offer with the funding needs to be clear in the Surrey Support Plan. As well as applying for help with an enhanced adult ratio, you can apply for funding to pay for specific resources, training and interventions. If you're applying for resources, funding will only be awarded for equipment recommended by a professional working directly with the child, such as an occupational therapist. If you're applying for training, please make sure you specify the training course, provider and costs. Your SEND advisor may recommend specific interventions, and you'll need to apply for EIF to cover the costs of these. The review of the EIF funding will only need to be completed if a review date is stated on your initial offer letter or if you are requesting a change in the level of funding. A transition refers to the important move a child makes from being at home to starting at an early years setting, from one setting to another, or from an early years setting into school. These transitions can be particularly challenging for children with additional needs. Therefore, funding can be applied for to help the transition go smoothly. It may be for a child who's moving into your setting or for a child leaving you to go elsewhere. Transition funding can only be paid to the setting claiming the funded early education for the child. It can't be paid to a receiving school. When applying for transition funding, you will need to provide a detailed breakdown of costs on this page of the Surrey Support Plan. Examples of transition funding awarded include for staff cover to allow for a child's key person to do some extra individual visits to school, and duplicates of particular resources the child depends upon for consistency. If you reach the stage at which you feel a child needs a statutory assessment, the Surrey Support Plan is a key document on which a decision to assess is made. At the point that you and parents decide that an application for assessment is appropriate, you'll need to complete the remainder of the plan from this page onwards. The My History page outlines the views and aspirations of the child and family. Wherever possible, it's best practice to complete this in conjunction with the parents or carers. The prompts in the guidance notes will help you to complete this page. The final pages of the Surrey Support Plan ask for a detailed, person-centred summary which outlines the strengths and needs of the child across the 4 areas of learning and development. Use the prompt questions on the guidance shown in blue text to help you complete this. You should also use the descriptors in the graduated response document. To apply for an Education, Health and Care Needs Assessment, you will need to submit the completed Surrey Support Plan, along with a consent for EHCP assessment document, a learner's request for assessment document, and any relevant health and education professional reports. You can submit all of these online via the learner's request for assessment form, which you can find on the Surrey LSPAR page. See the hyperlink in the guidance notes.